space, time, life, death. It is all but a plaything to I, Christi Luna Saturnine, the omniversal magistrix, ruler of the infinite earths. What's this? Dark magics have fallen over them, Boda boys? No. This will not do. From such primal chaos come change, and from change, growth. So rise, grow, be free from your curse. I salute you, magnificent though you were as podcasters, all a person might wish to be. Now, you can do much more, because you have become legends. Now, go talk about comics.
X-Men. Get it!
Hey everyone, and welcome to the all-new, all-different Battle of the Atom. This is your Reborn X-Men podcast where we rank every story from Alpha to Omega.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Zach. And Adam, how are you feeling on this glorious day?
I feel good. Like, really rejuvenated, you know? Like, 100% less vampire?
Yeah, I feel like we got into some deep lore on the podcast.
We sure did.
We became inaccessible to the general public, and we said, y'all, this is a lot of complicated stuff. We need a clean house. We need to do some retcons, so that at our new number one, as I'm calling it, our real 151th episode, we need to clear the table so that by 152, people can come in and really, really enjoy and embrace the good content that we have available to them.
Without any werewolves, mummies, vampires, Draculas,
I don't think we had any mummies or Frankensteins.
Maybe in a future episode.
Look, man, road to 300. We're on it, baby.
That's right.
We are riding down that road. But we would not be riding down that road without our very good Patreon supporters, just like Jeremy Thomas, who went over to patreon.com. He grabbed some money out of his wallet, and he said, y'all, I'd like you to talk about X-Men Forever.
X-Men Forever. That is the thing where Claremont picks up where he stopped writing after X-Men 3, right?
You'd like to think that, wouldn't you?
This is a different X-Men Forever.
This is the original X-Men Forever, not X-Men Forever 2, which why they didn't call it X-Men Forever After, I will never know. No. This, Adam, have you read the Kurt Busiek story, Avengers Forever?
I've never read that, no.
Oh my gosh, me either. All I know about it is it's some Kang stuff and some continuity and Rick Jones, and I checked out whenever someone started talking about that. I hear it's good, but I also hear it's good if you're an Avengers fan and real into that Avengers deep lore, which I am less so.
Well, you then maybe you need an X-Men series that's so steeped in the canon that it needs a bibliography in each issue. What do you think?
Are you talking about like an X-Men Grand Design level bibliography at the back that says, by the way, all this continuity came from here, and here. I did my homework.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about, and that is exactly what Fabian Nicieza, writer of the original
Papa Faves,
X-Men,
my personal best friend,
Forever. And I guess artist Kevin McGuire also is contributing to these bibliographies too. But
yeah, he's doing the whole dang thing. He's drawing all those pretty pictures.
Because we're bouncing around in time here. This is a weird lineup and a very strange idea for a story. So what's the basic premise here?
So it's January 2001. About 6 months ago, X-Men movie came out and it was hot.
Hot.
Everyone talking about that movie. Everyone's like, man, that Australian boy with the muscles and the knives in his hands. He's great. I also like this angry bald man riding around in his little chair.
And his boyfriend who can control metal from his plastic prison.
And WWE wrestler Tyler Mane as Sabretooth. No,
So
everyone
what-
was talking about Rebecca Romaine Stamos walking around in a real movie that a lot of people saw just butt naked, covered in blue scales, and no one wasn't talking about that in the year 2000. At least no one wasn't talking about it in my 4th grade class.
No, that was a big deal. I remember that they had to hide her from like the rest of the cast. They didn't want anybody to take any paparazzi pictures of her before the movie came out because they figured it would be such a big deal. That'll come back up later.
Yeah, that's oddly relevant to this.
It's very relevant. But this series, strangely enough, picks up after a character that I remember asking you about. You had warned me about this coming back somewhere along the line, and that is everybody's favorite ship, Prosh, is making his
about
return.
Professor Ship? Are you
Yes.
talking about Professor Ship? Because his name Prosh is just Professor and Ship smashed together.
Just pick one. You know what I mean? Like,
It's Prosh, baby.
you don't need to make an amalgam of the two. Just pick one.
It's Prosh, this character that appeared in one issue of X-Force that everyone remembers.
Well, he's here to really perpetrate some time travel shenanigans, if you will, right?
Yes, so Prosh recruits a handful of characters. We're talking about Iceman, we're talking about Jean, we're talking about Mystique, we're talking about Toad, and we are talking about the Juggernaut.
That's a strange lineup.
Yeah, it's the most enduring X-Men, the X-Men that will last forever.
Well, and there's a reason that they're selected, supposedly, but we don't really get an idea of what that is until later on in the mini. But we spend a good 4 or 5 issues just sort of like doing, pinballing around different corners of the X history, if you will.
They slowly go back in time. First,
I don't know if
like
I
a
say
couple
slowly.
years.
I mean, it's like every 3 pages they're doing another time shift.
But they go through a lot in
Yes.
that time shift.
Yes, they do.
They go all the way back to the start of the universe. They do
That's
that.
right. Yep.
And in between, they go to different places, like what everyone was doing when Graydon Creed got assassinated to fill in that loophole.
Mm-hmm.
What happened when Toad got abducted by the stranger. They talk about Juggernaut being in several holes. Juggernaut spends most of this book trapped under rubble, and he's like, Beans, I'm here again. Goes back in time 10 years. Beans, I'm in the rubble again. Spider-Man did put me in wet cement.
Right. I'm hungry.
That's a good gag. There's good gags in here. Actually, there's a lot of good character stuff. My favorite character stuff, there's a lot with Mystique and Destiny that's actually incredibly well done.
Yes, that is the redeeming bit of this story, which, just spoiler alert, I was not a fan of, but
It's bad. It's very bad.
really did like some of the scene work with Mystique and Destiny. But there is an overarching idea here that I guess Prosh has been sent here for a specific reason, yes?
Yeah, so if you remember, Prosh is Professor Ship. He is he's the professor, which was the AI that helped raise Cable after Slim and Red, his parents, went back into the future, past wherever.
Yep.
So he was raised by a robot AI that was also Apocalypse's celestial house for a little bit.
I do love the timeline of Ship, but this is pushing it a little bit.
Yeah, because, the Celestials deal. They go to a planet. They start life on it. The Celestials made the Deviants, and they made the Eternals. And, humans kind of came out from that. And then mutants spun off of humans, and it was this whole thing. And the Celestials are going to come back to see if anyone else is worthy of joining the interstellar community. And if they're not, a Celestial will give you a thumbs down and step on your house.
Your house being, you all die.
Bud, do you think Arshem, the judge, is going to show up in the sometime upcoming Walt Disney feature film, The Eternals?
Man, if there aren't Celestials in that movie, I'm not sure why they made it.
I mean, he is the leader of the fourth host of Celestials.
He better show up. But the Celestials are threatened because the mutant kind is apparently going to eventually what? Like take over the universe? Is that the gambit here?
Okay, so these 5, not mutants, but specifically humans, some of which who are mutants, were selected because they each embody one very specific quality that will allow humankind to ascend greater than the Celestials and into the elemental concepts of the universe. I'm talking about order and chaos and eternity. The Doctor Strange stuff.
Yeah, cosmic Marvel stuff.
Yeah, the big stuff. And that's going to take some time, but Prosh is kind of bored. And instead of letting that kind organically move on to being the aspects of, divinity and all things in the universe, he just brings them forward to do it now, except for the Stranger. You remember the Stranger, right, Adam? The very famous X-Men character that Jack Kirby made?
The Stranger, who is part of Cosmic Marvel, and he ain't super psyched about all of this, but thank God that Toad spent some time with him.
Yeah, the Stranger's also at the end of the universe, and I can't even explain. He gets really big, and the X-Men punch him. That's what happens.
It's nonsense that not only ends up with that, but it also ends with both Toad and Mystique turning into their counterparts from X-Men the movie.
Which I feel like Toad, you could have just said. Let's think. Let's set the scene. It's 2001. And it's early 2001. It's June when that issue comes out. By September, maybe August, Morrison's gonna come, and he's gonna say, y'all, secondary mutations are a thing.
Right.
They could have just done that. If they wanted movie Mystique, who never shows up again.
Thank God. It's only for a few pages here.
I think there is... Rogue turns into movie Mystique once during Extreme X-Men, but like the next time Mystique shows up, she's not movie Mystique. She's regular Mystique.
Exactly. As she should be.
Now, Toad is still movie Toad, but he just kind of looks like he's Toad, but he got a haircut, and it's 2004. It's like, guys, I'm not a weird 50s jester. I'm a regular person with a weird tongue now.
Yeah. So for a couple panels here, he kind of looks like Ray Park, but
Talking about Darth Maul?
Yeah, he's got his Darth Maul look for just a brief bit. This is a whole lot of nonsense. I did not like it.
So the thing is, it's bad and it's confusing. Adam, I had a revelation though as I was reading it.
Yeah, you were saying this reminded you of something else, which I was kind of surprised by.
Yeah, this is Powers of 10, but if Powers of 10 was bad. It's about mutants rising up and their godhood, finding out that literally they will always lose, finding all of these core mutants who together can create something incredibly powerful.
Mm-hmm.
It's got all of the bones of Powers of 10, but none of the quality I love
Yes.
Fabian Nicieza. He's great, friend of the show. He did not do Fabian, bud, I know you're listening. Wasn't your best work. You've done better, and I'm sure you were busy.
Fabes did his homework. He clearly had, some passion going into this project. You can tell by the way that he writes about it in the bibliography pages. However, the actual execution of it is not great. I mean, the Mystique issue aside, which I think is number 2, it's just busy. You know what I mean? Like, it's scene after scene after scene, and it's like, we're in this part of the timeline now. We're in this part of the timeline now. And yeah, the gag with Juggernaut is kind of funny, but like, it gets old. The Black Womb stuff is here, which is like...
Oh, we forgot to talk about Black Womb and the secret history of the Boom of Mutants that doesn't really get
brought up
it
again.
Touches on it.
Yeah.
And they Mike Carey does stuff with it in his run.
Yeah.
But they don't do enough with it.
No, I mean, it's big time brought up that it's Xavier's father and...
Yep. Xavier's father and Kane Marco's father.
Mm-hmm.
And then Black Womb herself. Mr. Sinister's there. Irene Adler is there. From Sherlock Holmes. Mystique's wife. Mystique's wife, Irene Adler from Sherlock Holmes. Yes, Adam.
Yeah. So we do get, it's a good reference. We do get scenes of like babies in sort of like chemistry jars, and we get references to Mr. Sinister. We get, we get these hints of all this stuff about the origin of mutant kind, but it never really pays off to anything. You know what I mean?
Nope.
So,
doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah. So I can't wholeheartedly recommend this. If you are a Mystique and...
I can't half-heartedly recommend it. It's bad.
Look, Kevin Maguire does a really nice job with the artwork. I think it has a couple of redeeming qualities. If you're a Mystique Destiny fan, you might want to search out that second issue, maybe even the third issue.
That one's nice.
But, as soon as it starts to go cosmic, I don't know, it flatlined for me. I just lost it. And that's when it really should be getting exciting, and it's not super exciting to see the Stranger pop up.
Oh, the Stranger. He's weird. He's got a wild mustache.
He does. It's really cool. It's super, it's like a giant W, like it's a Weezer logo on his face, kind of. Well,
are you saying he has the Wario mustache?
Yeah.
he has Wario's mustache? The angry, smelly Mario?
I mean, they're like 2 big check marks, white check marks that hang off the side of each of his face. And it's a good look.
He's gonna win. I'm the Stranger.
All right. So we've got this big old list, Zach.
We got a big old list. It's got 381 stories on it.
That's a lot.
The number 1's Dark Phoenix. It's pretty good. I skipped 100. It's End of Grays. And then 200 is that Purple Era X-Force.
Ooh.
300 is Operation Zero Tolerance from X-Man 30. This is worse than that, by the way. And 381's the Draco. This is bottom 300.
I would agree. I think we're...
Hey, weird cosmic nonsense.
Yeah, give me some... Oh, Iceman Volume 1 is definitely better than this. That's at 337.
Yeah, 337. Iceman Volume 1.
Yeah. I feel like we're on the same kind of level as like Pint Size X Babies Murderama at 346.
We're around there. I'm looking at 356 is X-Men Liberators and Psylocke and Archangel Crystal Dawn. Both nothing nonsense stories.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here's the thing though. A couple spots down from that. Okay. I pegged it. I know where we're at.
Okay. Where are we going?
At number 361 is Marvel Superheroes Quarterly Special 6 through 8, the Roy Thomas Return to the Outback. And right below that is the Shatterstar Saga from X-Force.
Yeah, like we're in the same realm. Like above that, 359 is Excalibur 1 through 4, Forging the Sword, which was what? Is that volume 2, volume 3? That's
volume 3 of Excalibur.
Yeah, that was bad. Is this worse than 360, which is X-Men 34 to 36 Messiah Complex?
Yeah, because that one just has a really good splash page of Nate Gray looking silly.
All right.
That's
I think
all
this
that
is better.
one hit.
I feel like this is better than the Roy Thomas Aussie story, because Roy Thomas clearly had not been reading the book. Like Fabian.
Oh, not at all.
We should give Fabian points for doing his homework and for McGuire doing some nice artwork here. What do you think? This could be our new 361?
So you want to go above Messiah Complex or below Messiah Complex?
I'll leave it up to you. Where do you think it goes?
I'm calling it below. I was just sitting here thinking, which one of these would I rather read again? I'd rather read that story where Nick Gray wears a Pixies baby doll tee.
Well, there
Purple
you go.
Man's there, I guess.
All right. Well, unfortunately, folks, that was one that we probably won't be revisiting anytime soon. Where are we going next, Zach?
Oh, we're going to continue our multiversal nonsense and go to X-Men Die by the Sword 1 through 5, written by Chris Claremont with pencils by Juan Santa Cruz and Cafu.
Wow. I was not expecting when I saw this title that this was going to be an Exiles story. This is a Claremont Exiles story.
This is a Claremont Exiles and New Excalibur story. This is his New Excalibur run ended, and they ended Exiles #1 at about the same time, or Exiles Volume 1 at about the same time, and they used this as a bridge series to Exiles or the All New Exiles, or whatever, New Exiles I think it was called, which continues Claremont doing Exiles. So it's a big, weird cast.
Oh, yeah.
Is the thing about
big cast. And we've got Roma here. We've got Opal Saturnine as well. And we also have some really weird villains like Rogue Mort.
Rouge Mort? I don't know who.
Rouge Mort, sorry.
I don't know what Rouge Mort's deal is, but it's very weird to have Rouge Mort in a story and then a alternate reality version of Rogue, because those words look real similar when you're just reading.
Well, and Rouge Mort is able to somehow just overpower Psylocke, which just I don't think makes any sense.
I don't know what Rouge Mort's deal is, except for they have a very strong suit.
Yeah, they're in sort of like a vacuum sealed orange bond
fetish suit.
Yeah,
they're in a Claremont fetish super suit
with red Princess Leia hair buns, and then has a gun.
There's a lot going on here. Hey, guys. I don't know what Chris Claremont was up to in 2007, 2008, but it was weirdly horny.
I mean, it wasn't just then. Let's be clear. He's a kinky man.
Oh, just wait till next week, Adam. Guys, Adam, we can't kink shame Claremont this episode.
Oh, I don't want to shame him. I'm legitimately curious where he gets his inspirations from. But
I am not, is the thing. I am perfectly fine not knowing where he gets his particular inspiration, because Chris Claremont is old, and I'm happy for him. And whatever he does, I would like him to do it somewhere else is the thing. It's not my jam, and I feel like it's fair that I can opt out of learning more.
That's fine. I don't think anybody's going to ask him about it anyway.
Oh, bud, anyway.
All right. So
we can't. Cons are done. Cons are over. We can't do it. We'll forget about it.
So the two teams sort of meet at a party. There's some good reunions, like John Proudstar and Nocturne get back together. Dazzler learns that Longshot doesn't remember her.
That part's weird.
Yeah.
That part's weird. Also weird that Dazzler and Pete Wisdom do hook up in a bathroom.
Yeah, it's so weird. And like Dazzler spends a good chunk of a part of the story like in Pete Wisdom's shirt and her underpants. Like they actually end up back at Exile's headquarters and she's still dressed that way.
Look, man. Chris Claremont writes very specific scripts.
Well, and the big bad of this story is a real callback to old Captain Britain. We've got Jaspers here.
Mad Jim Jaspers. Mad Jim Jaspers. Have you read the Moore Davis and everyone else who was doing that Captain Britain stuff?
No, I mean the only reason I know anything about it is just from listening to the recaps on Explain the X-Men, and
doesn't do it justice.
The Jaspers warp just sounds wild.
Here's the thing. Old school Captain Britain is proto-Watchmen, and it rules. Like, Alan Moore did like 3 Watchmens before he did Watchmen.
Makes sense.
That's
gotta warm up, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but he was warming up with the same thing. Like, it's weird that we're not a Watchmen podcast. It's weird that you can read Miracle Man and then the Captain Britain story, and then Watchmen and be like, oh, well, Alan, you're kind of being a little repetitive here, kind of hitting on the same themes. Maybe you want to spread your wings, Alan Moore, very famous comic book writer.
Yeah. Anyway.
Anyway, Mad Jim Jaspers rules, actually. And he also has the
Fury.
It kills superheroes.
Yeah. And pretty much decimates the Captain Britain Corps after they try to just take this group of Furies and Jaspers down. Doesn't go so well.
No, Brother Britman, my favorite Captain Britain, does die.
Yeah.
He does get eviscerated by the Fury. Brother Britman is the hippie Captain Britain.
Right.
From Earth 65, that is the Spider-Gwen universe.
He's pretty great. So there's just like kind of a big fist fight where Jaspers keeps changing his outfit and eventually they are able to take him down, and it's not. I don't know. I mean, there's a whole thing with Merlin pulling the strings to take the control back.
Merlin's working with Jaspers and the Fury and Rouge Mort, while Roma is working with Opal Luna Saturnine and the Exiles and Excalibur to protect them. And then it all kind of ends. They beat up everybody. They get saved. Also, Dave Cockrum and Patty Cockrum are just hanging out.
Okay, can you explain this to me? Because they pop up in the middle of like there's a 6-issue mini. I think they pop up somewhere in the 4th issue without any introduction whatsoever. And I don't really understand. Obviously, there is an effort here by Chris to, memorialize his very good friends. But I am very unclear as to what their role in this story was.
Yeah, I've got no idea what their role is. They kind of just show up on a splash page at the end with everyone's smiling faces around them. And Dave Cockrum deserves all the credit in the world. Absolutely, he created so many incredible characters that we all love to this day. We're talking about Storm and Colossus and Nightcrawler. I mean, he's Dave Cockrum. He's a legend. I don't know how memorializing him here makes narrative sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really nice that Claremont wanted to do this for his friends, but it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So that aside, I mean, if you like classic Captain Britain and you want to see some more Jaspers stuff, I mean, this isn't like the worst thing in the world. But it is essentially a messy Excalibur Exile story. So you have to keep that in mind.
Yeah, messy's the right word. I think one of the challenges, the first time I read this, I had not read any of the old Captain Britain stuff.
Mm-hmm.
In this comic from 2007, does expect that you have read these 80s comics that have been poorly in print.
Oh yeah.
These ones are annoying to find.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a weird ask of, we're not going to explain any of this continuity. You know about this Marvel UK series, right, guys? And that's a very Excalibur thing. Don't get it twisted. It's very Excalibur to assume that you have read all of Captain Britain. It's not great, though.
Yeah.
It's just not it's not done well, and it makes me sad because I like dope Excalibur stuff. It's fun, it's weird, it's wild. I like some Exile stuff. I don't necessarily like... The Exiles are kind of a weird non-factor in this.
Well,
they don't do much except for Psylocke being on the team.
Yeah. And the problem is that, like, it's tying these threads together between the 2 volumes of Exiles, and they're a huge cast. I think there's like a dozen of them. And yet...
Well, and half of these Exiles are brand new characters.
Right.
To the Exiles. Cat Pride is incredibly new. Raven is very, very new. I forget who else. There's a Rogue that's very new. Thunderbird just came back from a very long stint of being dead.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
a lot of catching up to do. And
yeah,
it doesn't allow it to kind of focus on what the actual adventure is of the story. So I don't know. I mean, if you like, I guess my recommendation would be, if you like Jaspers, you probably want to check this out. Or if you're like, you like Captain Britain Corps, you want to read a Captain Britain Corps story, this has a lot of that, but it doesn't really tie together very cohesively. I would say
it doesn't.
It's much more in line with, like, I have highlighted 313 on our list, which is the 100th issue of Exiles.
The one that immediately preceded this, yes.
Yeah. Like, it's about on that level, right?
That's
Maybe,
fair. Before I throw out my ranking, I will say that I do think Juan Santa Cruz does a really good Alan Davis impersonation.
Sure.
Like, he's not Alan Davis.
No, he is not.
But he's like, he's stylistically very close, and I like that. What I'm looking at is right around that spot. I think you're right. Is this better than the New Mutants Follow the Mutants story?
I mean, that does have Bird Brain in it.
Yeah, never mind it. But it does have Doug's really sad death. Hey, Adam, I'm going to say a weird sentence.
Yeah, go ahead.
And it's a sentence we've said before, but it is a weird sentence to say.
Go ahead.
IVX is better than this.
Yeah.
IVX is at 318, and IVX is better than this.
Is this better than that issue of Excalibur where we had Krakoa Jr.? 324?
No, it's not, actually. It's not. I think it's just... Okay. We are in very much the right spot. This is probably better than Blood of Apocalypse at 328.
I would agree. I think it's probably better than Poptopia at 327.
I think Apocalypse versus Dracula is better than this.
I think so too. So that would make it our new 327.
This is our new 327. Guys, this is not really a recommendations episode. This is more of a...
Digging through some confusing things.
This is more of a acknowledgements and understandings episode. Because again, we're taking a lot of old continuity, we're sweeping it under the rug so that later we can deal with things. Much like Alan Davis did have to do during his 2-year, but really was only supposed to be one arc, but it kept being one more arc run on the X-Men books, both X-Men books, where he wraps it up with The 12, Apocalypse The 12. Alan Davis and Terry Kavanagh do some of the books on this. Roger Cruz does some art. Joe Pruitt and Rob Liefeld, they're here.
Oh boy.
Mike Miller is here. More Alan Davis. Fabian Nicieza and Eric Larson are on this one.
Wasn't expecting that.
Ben Herrera is on it. And then also Joe Pruitt and Bernard Chang does an issue. There's a lot to the 12. It is, just so everyone is aware, oh, dang it. It doesn't show those issue numbers.
I've got it. It's Uncanny 376, Cable Volume 175, X-Man 59, X-Men 96, Wolverine Volume 2, 146 and 147, X-Man 60, Uncanny X-Men 377, Cable 76, and it concludes in X-Men 97.
Right.
Oh boy.
Right. It's a lot.
Jumping around.
So the 12, Adam. The 12.
You mean the 12 that was predicted by the Master Mold Sentinel that attacked Cyclops back in X Factor?
Yeah, the 12
80s?
who were promised. Yes.
That 12?
Yeah, the 12 from 15 years ago. Yes, the 12.
I'm sure this was
they have been
very much thought about beforehand and not cobbled together at the last second. And
yes, this was obviously Chris Claremont's original master plan, along with his good friend Wheezy, trying to put all this together. This is really what they planned all those years back. Is that the 12 would be 12 mutants put into a very powerful machine that would cycle all of their energy through the living pharaoh, the living monolith, Amat Abdul, who would then shoot all of that energy into Apocalypse so Apocalypse could merge with Nate Gray, X-Man, the cloned child of an alternate reality, G. Gray and Scott Summers, so that Apocalypse could transfer his essence into that body and rule for another 1 billion years. So that was the original plan, wasn't it?
No way. No way, Jose. I mean, the convoluted nature of this, I mean, it makes we get to a point where they're literally pulling Bishop out of his own miniseries for like a couple pages.
Not just Bishop, Havoc too.
Yeah.
Havoc's in Mutant X right now. Bishop's the last X-Man. They're in different timelines and realities, and they pull him in for this one.
I mean, the first thing that's really easy just to pick on is what we're talking about. The actual so-called master plan, which somebody pointed out is, I forget, and I apologize for whoever made this connection, but it's not all that different from what we just talked about in the last episode with the Secret Empire, like Wheel of Fortune with the mutants. Like,
it's oddly similar,
right?
Yes.
Like he throws them into ping pong balls and then they like spin around roulette wheel style, I guess. And like, they're all representing a different element or, you know, it's like Captain Planet style. I just don't get it. Like, and of course it all leads up to, Cyclops getting merged with, Apocalypse.
Can I tell you something, Adam?
Well, and that's not even like the bulk of the story.
I know, but can I tell you something?
Yeah, please share.
I realized talking to some friends about this story.
Yeah.
That if this was just Wizard Apocalypse doing this, I'd have no problem with this convoluted plan. That would make sense. Oh, it's wizard stuff. This is magic.
Yeah.
No, he has to do it as a weird science
Yeah.
No, Wizard Apocalypse makes so much more sense in here. Give Teenie Howard the 12. And let her...
We'll retcon the
go
12.
no, Apocalypse is doing a wizard thing. Let him set up his barriers and his auras. We will put a chart that you will not understand in this one so that you can set up your own, casting circles.
That would make a heck of a lot more sense.
It really would.
But, I mean, the bulk of this story is really... maybe we should just... Can we start with the Cable Liefeld issue? Because the bulk of this story is really about Wolverine has been transformed into death, quote unquote. Which can I just go on a little soapbox rant about Apocalypse?
Go on a soapbox.
Apocalypse Horseman, please. Aside from the Uncanny X-Force run, why do the Horsemen always look so stupid? Like, Take a cue.
Hey, I don't know, bud.
Take a cue from Walt Simonson and make whoever is the key horseman look cool. Like, think about what he did from Angel to Archangel. He turned him into like some kind of glow in the dark, almost Tron looking thing. And then Wolverine gets turned into death. And what? He's got like, he's wearing a skull on his pants. Like, who cares? He looks like Senyaka from the Acolytes. It's not visually interesting at all. So when we have to wrestle for the soul of Wolverine, like, sorry. And I went off track because we get an entire issue of Cable and Apocalypse making moony faces at each other like they're going to make out when they're supposed to be like battling to the death.
Yeah, it's
I'm sorry.
It's not great.
I'm frustrated. Like Cable 75 is supposed to be this, ultimate battle between these two foes who have fought each other through time. And it just comes down to these like series of one-page splash pages by Liefeld that I don't even know what they're doing. They're sort of like mid jazzercise routine. Like, I'm sorry. I don't want to disparage this too much, but like, talk about
Adam, you rarely disparage the way I disparage. So this is I'm sitting back, my feet are up, I'm listening to this like, okay, this is what it's like to listen to the podcast.
Listen, this entire story really could be encapsulated in like, what, 2 issues?
Something like that. There's a weird thing where Apocalypse is teamed up with the Skrulls, by the way.
Oh yeah, we didn't even mention that. He's teaming up.
Yeah, that's nonsense.
He's teaming up with not only the Skrulls, but a bunch of white guys who are dressed up like King Tut. They're in like Pharaoh costumes that they got from Party City.
Talking about King Tut, the villain from Batman, the Batman show.
Like,
because they look like King Tut from the Batman show from the 60s.
It's so stupid. And I guess they're the followers of the Living Monolith. And the Skrulls are there. Why? Because Cadre K is involved in this story too.
I'll be honest. I've read it multiple times. Don't know what the heck Alan Davis was doing with those Skrulls.
Maybe he just wanted to draw some Skrulls. I mean, that's a distinct possibility.
So the X-Men had recently gone to a Skrull planet. Mm-hmm. But when I was rereading this a couple years ago, like rereading all of the Davis stuff around this time, I did skip the 12 because I was like, nope, I've got this one. I've done it before. I don't need this one again. I own this comic too. I have this physically. It's really upsetting to me.
Oh, my goodness.
I can't imagine me wanting to give that trade to somebody.
Oh, no. I mean, it just doesn't work as a crossover. You know what I mean? Like, there's these dumb... There's 2 issues of X-Men involved in this, one of which is basically him sort of fighting the Fantastic Four, and then at the very last page getting attacked by Caliban, who is now the Horseman of Pestilence. That's 1 page, and yet that entire comic book is considered part of this series. And then we get to the next X-Men issue, and I don't even know, like... It's really not interesting. Like, it doesn't really have much to do with the story.
Yeah, man, it's not good. This whole thing's weird, and I don't understand what they're doing here. And also, it's boring, and it's long. It's 10 issues. There's 1 good issue of Cable, which is just nice. It's Cable thinking about all of his family and friends.
Yeah, that's 76, by the way, not 75.
No, 75's bad and does have the Rob having a very bad looking Cable.
Jesus.
It's bad, Rob.
It ain't good, man. It's
not good.
It's not. And the whole thing is not good. Like, it's nonsense story. It's trying to tie together all of these different elements. It's trying to get us to care about characters in ways that are... I'll give it a little bit of credit. There's some mildly interesting stuff with Warren kind of revisiting what his experience was turning into death. And I think Roger Cruz illustrates that issue. That's mildly interesting. You know what I mean? Like going back through X-Men's history, and it's weird that it's an issue of Wolverine and that's a Warren story, but okay.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
but like aside from the very like small glimmers of light peeking out here, this is not something you want to read. And a huge disappointment for anybody that was hanging on to that little cliffhanger back from X Factor and going, oh my gosh, I wonder when they're going to finally reveal what that was. It's bad.
And Alan Davis, we love you. Alan Davis, you're great. Alan Davis, you are an international treasure. You didn't do good here, man.
Well, and
it's not your fault. I know there were.
It's not.
Alan Davis,
yeah,
was filling in because there were some contract and legal issues with Chris Claremont, so he couldn't come back to the book right away.
Look, he's
so Alan Davis had to do like a 2-year fill.
Yeah, and look, man, the Alan Davis issues look really good.
They look like Alan Davis and Mark Farber.
I think his artwork looks fantastic. I just this is a mess. It's clearly not unified in any sense editorially, and it's just sort of like, yeah, so this has got to be this like tangent and this tangent and this tangent, and then we'll have the actual wrap up of the story, which will be complete nonsense here in X-Men 97, and moving on.
Yeah, all this ends up leading into another smaller crossover called Ages of Apocalypse.
Right. I'm assuming...
Which is different than Age of Apocalypse.
Assuming that's not very good.
It's like 6 different one-issue alternate realities that don't really wrap up. It's just like, oh, look, Apocalypse is here now, or Scott-pocalypse, or whatever. And then it just ends, and Scott disappears.
And then we get searched for
And then eventually
Cyclops.
they do this. Eventually, it takes a little bit to get there.
Yeah. Anyway. Where are we putting this on the list?
So this one's bad.
This ain't great.
It's not as good as X-Men Liberators at 357 or Magneto Rex at 358.
Better or worse than X-Men Forever by Fabian Nicieza and Kevin Maguire?
Forever shorter.
And it is more cohesive. I will give it that. I mean, it's jumping
Forever
around a lot.
has higher highs.
But yeah, I think X-Men Forever is better at 362. So how low do we go?
It's not... is it as bad as Eve of Destruction?
I don't think it's as bad as Eve Destruction.
Yeah, because Eve of Destruction gets into just... It's not good territory.
Yeah, it's about as nonsensical as the Shatterstar saga, if we're being honest. Like... And it's about as enjoyable as the original X-Men versus Avengers crossover in the Silver Age.
Let's put it between those two.
Perfect.
Let's put it between those two. It can be our 365.
Great.
Guys, this was one of the lowest total episodes we've done in a while.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, look, these are things that are kind of like... I mean, the 12, you're going to probably hit it if you're doing a continuity run to begin with, but... These other stories are interesting, but I don't know that any of them are essential. So it's a real grab bag this week.
Yeah, it's a bad bag. This is a bag of bad comics that you shouldn't do. And we have Jeremy Thomas again to thank for that. Jeremy did go on over to Patreon. He did throw money our way. And he did support the show monetarily. If you want to be like him, you can do all of those things. And you'll get like your own episode built around your own specific wants and desires. Otherwise, maybe tell a friend or leave a review if you want. I don't know how algorithms on iTunes work. People say reviews work, and other people say reviews don't do anything. I don't really know. I feel like if I'm an algorithm, total downloads and the delta in that is going to be a big indicator for me versus someone going through and leaving a review. Reviews seem like artifacts, but what do I know? I literally don't. I literally know nothing. Everyone just likes reviews, so leave me a review and I'll read it, and I'll feel better. Adam doesn't see the reviews, and that's only because he doesn't look.
I mean, I may glance occasionally. So if you would like me glancing, please. We like compliments. I like a good compliment.
Hey, Adam, if people want to see more of your glances or compliment your good artwork, where can they find you?
Guys, you can always follow me on Twitter at Arthur Stacy. Zach, where can people find you?
XavierFiles.com. It's where we have all the latest, greatest X-Men, stuff. We're getting ready for Ten of Swords. There's so many swords, and we're your number one sword content provider. So get ready for those swords, baby. We're racing them high.
There's going to be a mail order sword service starting up from XavierFiles.com.
We got all kinds of friggin' swords.
You just mail in the UPC codes, and then just put them in a little envelope, and you get a katana.
Swords. Speaking of swords, we would also like to thank friend of the show, Christy Edelman, for doing that nice job resurrecting us.
Thank you.
Christy Luna Saturnine did bring us back from dead, and we are no longer stuck as immortal beasts forced to walk the earth for all eternity.
Thank goodness.
Which is nice. Next week, Adam, do you know what us two red-blooded American men are going to talk about?
Oh man, I just saw it in the spreadsheet.
We're going to talk about the ladies.
The ladies.
It's an all X-Women week, and all the best X-Men are women. We all know this. This is a fact. This is a fact that has grown beyond any of us.
Mm-hmm.
However, all of the best X-Men stories that focus exclusively on women are of varying quantity, and due to cultural and societal issues around who gets to tell stories in these fields, they can be misogynistic and gross. So we're going to deal with that next week.
Yeah, we got some stuff to talk about, so tune in then.
The person who's drawing one of the comics next week is best known for erotica. Oh. Can't wait, guys. And until then, you can eagerly wait as we talk about comics I'm not looking forward to next week. Experience. Hope you survive it. Bye.
Get it!